Philadelphia. I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Super Bowl first week Wednesday. This is the Anthony Gargano Show. We're presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. TrueMark.com/PHLY to learn the credit union difference. Are we ready to play? What time's kickoff? I need kickoff. We ready to play, BG?
No. Ready to party. Not ready to play yet.
I want football.
No.
All right, I want football.
No, you have to have the party before the football.
Listen, the party's fine.
Oh,
Football
the
is
Saints
the party.
Go marching in.
Football is the party, man.
All
right, we got news, though. Today is, we got news coming on. Kellen Moore. Could it be that Jalen Hurts will have yet another OC? Oh, my God. You want to talk about the revolving door. Oh, geez. It looks like Kellen Moore is now the front runner for the Saints job. Mike McCarthy is going to focus on the following year, the 2026 openings, and that leaves Kellen Moore as the front runner for the Saints job. Right now, here's how it looks, right? The Bears hired Ben Johnson. The Patriots hired Mike Vrabel. The Jaguars hired Liam Cohen. The Raiders hired Pete Carroll. The Jets hired Aaron Glenn. The Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer. And the Saints. Who will the Saints hire? Will it be Kellen Moore? He is the front runner. He's interviewed for that job. That would mean yet another OC. Of course, it's amazing that they have been in 3 Super Bowls since, obviously, 2017 season, 2018 year, and all the coordinators, coaches, the revolving door that has been through this franchise. That's what happens when you're good. The poachers come, and they have been poaching and poaching. And here's the deal. So 2021 and 22, the first years of Sirianni, Steichen was the OC. Of course, Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore. Who will it be if Kellen Moore leaves? Now, the front runner would be Kevin Patullo. I like him. He's the coordinator, the passing game coordinator. I think Kevin is sharp. I like him. But does he have a resume, right? We've seen this before when the coaches come in and they don't have the experience, right? Like we've seen that under Doug kind of go sideways. And speaking of under Doug, there is a name that's out there. Would they go Frank Reich and bring back Frank Reich as the OC and play caller? We know that Nick does not feel comfortable calling the plays. Would it be Kevin Patullo? Or they could go back and go get Frank Reich. But it looks like Kellen Moore will get hired. It's amazing how they just poached the staffs. Like these Eagle staffs get poached. It's incredible. And yet it looks like, again, meanwhile, can I just say, not that anybody cares, but I still wonder why Spags doesn't get a job. It's just unreal. Right? Like all that guy does is win Super Bowls and get to Super Bowls and is the best defensive coordinator. I wouldn't mind that, right? To be a little distraction for the game. Give Spags a shot. Anyway, it looks like Kellen Moore will be the guy and in New Orleans. He is the front runner. It's uncanny. VG, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
It's weird, man. I'm fantastic. Yourself?
Oh, you're fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic.
You like all some dudes.
It's hump day, Super Bowl,
I'm fantastic.
free week. Yeah.
I'm not. I want the game, man.
I know. You
just want to
gotta appreciate it and love. It's like, you can't get right in there.
I was talking to my cousin yesterday, right? Because we share a brain. So my cousin Joey, I always talk about, and he's like, when he asked me this question, I don't even want to bring it up because I'll get crushed.
All right.
Right? But, in full honesty, if I could guarantee the Eagles Super Bowl or not guarantee a win and go back and play like another 6 weeks of the season.
Get out of here.
What would I want to do?
Get out of here.
I'd want to relive it.
No way, man. Give me. I'm already like, oh my God, we're
love the
already halfway
journey.
through the first
I'm a
party
fan
week.
of the journey. I love
This is part of the journey, these 2 weeks.
Oh, I know, but jeez. I was getting antsy last night. Like Sixers Lakers. It's Sixers Lakers. And I'm going, God bless Maxey. Oh, God bless him. I feel for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's the greatest. But man, it's just Maxey and slop.
Well, I mean,
right? And look, as they win, Anthony Davis gets hurt again, right? So he's out. And it's like Maxey versus LeBron and slop v slop.
Here's where you went wrong last night. There was a Kentucky-Tennessee game on, which was fantastic. Then I turned over to the Sixers for the fourth quarter.
You're right. I should have went
It's like,
college.
oh, this is great.
Yeah, I should have went college.
Poor Bronny.
You know what?
See him on the court.
Yeah.
He's so overmatched.
He's got no prayer. He's got no chance. I have no. It's terrible.
What is?
Because I don't find any enjoyment other than football.
Yeah, but
and that may go through the entire life.
It's not
like I enjoy football more than food.
You don't like any of the coverage? Like it's nonstop Eagles coverage right now. Everywhere
I know,
you go.
I like the sport. The coverage is the coverage. I mean, we're a part of it.
Yeah, the coverage
like,
is.
We're a part of it. So I mean, I like it.
The game will come and
but
go.
I like the sport.
It's like
my favorite. Listen, I know that people go, all right, how many times you're going to talk cover two and single high safety and all that stuff. And yet, like yesterday, we had Mike Saravo, who's the linebackers coach of the Vikings, and I freaking loved it.
Yeah, he was fascinating to listen to.
That conversation. I love that X and O talk, the chalk talk. I love that stuff. And I know I was told years and years ago when I got into sports radio, right? No, I'll tell you the story. I'm all excited to start at WIP. Mm-hmm. I'm leaving the Inquirer. Now, I was national, right? So I worked for the New York Post, but I was national. I did national events. So I knew everybody at the time, right? And I was like, hey, now I get this guest and that guest. Like I had great baseball stuff. And he's like, and Tom Bigby was the program director, says, just talk Eagles. And I go, well, I get this guest, this football NFL guy, this college guy. Yeah, no. He said, just talk to the callers and talk Eagles. Like, no guests. Yeah. No.
Don't get too analytical here.
Yeah, don't talk about it. He was like, nobody cares about X's and O's. Right? Nobody cares about X's and O's. I'm like, yeah, but some people care about it. It's football, the game. You love the game. It's X's and O's and combines and everything else. Don't talk about that. Just talk about the Eagles.
It worked out all right for him. He built a monster.
He built a monster is right. I mean, listen. And it became, talk about that, to talk about hot takes, and I get it. That's what people like. I understand that's what the masses enjoy. It sucks when I like to do other more
let me ask you this.
Football-centric stuff. What? Oh, we got our man. Oh,
all right.
Yes. He's ready.
Who?
Baldy.
Oh, nice.
Speaking of, now this is what I
talk to
enjoy.
Baldy because I was going to bring something up to you. I would need to run it by Baldy.
This is what I enjoy. He's got a mobile. It's the greatest. And let us remember that 3 weeks and change ago, Baldy said the Eagles, and he said it matter-of-factly, as though he saw the future.
Baldy Damas?
And he said the Eagles are going to go 4-0. That's it. Cuz 4-0. They're the best team. 4-0.
Yep.
Just like that. No fanfare, no nothing. Baldy! Baldy,
Baldy. Oh, let's talk some football. Baldy. Oh, he likes pizza and football. Oh, boy.
There he is. There he is.
Coach, can you see me?
We don't see you. Look like you're in a closet.
We can hear you. We can't see you.
You're in the dark.
How's that? Can you see me now?
No, I just see a blank screen, a black screen.
Yeah, privacy cover over your camera.
Cuz,
Yes.
hold that. No, I'm looking right at it. My camera's on. I don't know why it's not. Let me get out and I'll get right back in.
Okay. Sounds good.
Give me 1 minute. Give me one.
Yes. Take your time. What are you going to bring up?
Oh, I was gonna say, you just want to get to the game. You and Tam say you go out for it's anniversary night. You don't want to get right to the action. You want to go to a dinner, have a nice, a build up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's what the Super Bowl is. We want to build it up for 2 weeks. It's like fun, exciting.
I don't like the correlation.
No,
I
do.
I don't subscribe to the correlation. Like you're right. Listen,
I like the build up.
You're right. You should.
The whole country is gushing over our team right now. I mean, they can criticize, but we're the focus right now. Philadelphia.
No, you're right.
We're the envy of the world in football.
You're right, Johnny Box. No, you're right. Listen, I get it. You're right. I'm the alien. I understand I'm the alien.
Yeah, Baldy's probably with you. He probably hates us these 2 weeks.
We got Baldy back.
We got him. Baldy. There he is. Now we don't have your audio. We see you, but we got no audio.
There we go.
Hey. There he is, Baldy. So let's go back to 3.5 weeks ago when Baldy, without any emotion, you just say things matter-of-factly because, you saw that this Eagles team was a matchup nightmare, and you went, they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought they were the best team all year. I thought they were the best team. I thought they were the most complete team. I thought that they didn't have a single weakness on the team. They were relatively healthy as any team out there. Really went healthy almost start to finish this year. That's a big part. And I thought the coaching was good. I thought Vic Fangio was perfect for this team. He molded these young kids. And I just thought that they had the right I thought they had the right emotion. I mean, I know there was things up and down a little bit with the coach, maybe the quarterback, the receiver, but that stuff happens during the season. But I thought this was the best team in the trenches by far of any team in this league. Kansas City had to fix their left tackle position. I mean, there's things that happen, and all these teams in the postseason. I thought Detroit, if they saw them, they would destroy Detroit's defense. And so Washington was a good story, but they were outmatched. And I didn't know Saquon would go 60 in the first play, but I thought I did it like that because I really didn't want to leave anybody any doubt about what I was thinking. People can get wishy-washy and, boy, I got to cover my ass if I don't say the right thing, if I get it wrong. I'm like, I'll live with it. I'll live with the results. I thought they were a 4-0 team in the postseason. They had a week to get ready, and they've demonstrated it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that you saw how dominant they were on both fronts. I mean, that was obviously we all know about Barkley and AJ and Devontae and the whole thing, but you saw that O-line, you saw Jalen Carter and the defensive line with, Nolan Smith coming along, and you went, that's how you win.
You know what I see, Cuz? I see player development. I'm here in Mobile.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching the coaching, I'm listening to it, paying attention to what they're saying, the offense line. If you don't have player development, you know what you end up doing? You end up going out there and buying your team in free agency, putting yourself in cap hell. And, it's like, okay, they overspent for Bryce Huff. They made a mistake. But Joe Banner said it. Look, Nolan Smith developed. If Nolan Smith doesn't develop, they got a huge hole in their defense, especially with Brandon Graham going down. But Nolan Smith developed. He's a frontline player right now. And if Mahomes starts getting out and running and chasing like he does, Nolan Smith's going to suck him up. All right, he's going to chase him down, and he's going to force him into a bad throw or a sack. It's just what he's doing right now. But you look at Quinion, that interception on Terry McLaurin in the end zone. I know it's at the end of the game. Like he jumped higher, he jumped faster, and he positioned himself perfectly, like he did all year. And so you just see player development. Mekhi Becton never played guard in his life. Never. Nobody ever said he could play it. I asked him in the offseason, can he play guard? He goes, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna try. If that's where I got to play, I'm gonna try. But that's where like I believe, and this is gonna sound like it's just silly platitude, but I believe Jeff Stoutland is the best football coach in America. Now you could say Andy Reid's a head coach and Belichick. That's all true, but they do a whole lot more than coach. Now they have eyes on everything, but if you just want to coach a position, I mean, you watched last week, and the Pro Bowl center has got a bad back and he's on the sideline. They moved the Pro Bowl left guard to center. He hadn't played center yet since he left Alabama. He gets hurt. Now Juergens is coming cold off the bench with a bad back, and Tyler Steen is playing guard, and they didn't skip a beat. That doesn't happen in this league, cuz.
No.
But here's the thing. Here's one thing I want to say, because I told this to Stout, and you can't blow any smoke up his ass. He doesn't want to hear it. But he's the only coach in this league, and I've been doing games every Sunday for 28 years. He's the only offensive line coach that works his guys out before the game. I mean, and it's not just the backups or practice squad guys. He does that. He works out his whole offensive line. Other offensive linemen are in the locker room. They're looking at their iPads, their whatever. He's walking through things that they're going to see game day up until the snap. He's the only offensive line coach that does it. People go, oh, Stout U. He's like, there's a reason why it's Stout U. The school and the session never ends.
That's such a great point. It really is. And you're so right, because they're always prepared. He's an incredible teacher of the position. Like you talk about, it's one thing, hey, anybody could go get a blue chip. Like Jalen Carter would be Jalen Carter no matter what team he's on, right? But Jordan Mailata becomes this incredible left tackle because Stoutland has him and Stoutland teaches, right? You bring up Becton, and like he's like, all right, I'm down. I'll play guard. But like, it's a huge difference playing on the edge than it is playing guard. And Stoutland is able to teach him how to play, and he becomes a road grader.
So I saw Stout when I did that Jason Kelsey show a couple weeks ago, and I was just reminding him that if you go back to week 3, this whole season turned around really in week 3. They were getting beat 6-0 in the fourth quarter to New Orleans, and the coach was making some questionable decisions. But I was down the field before the game, and I was watching Stout go through his machinations up front. And New Orleans ran this stunt that was on tape, evidently, where they've got a one technique, but they blitz, they tango the defensive end inside, and they crash it. And it puts the guard in a bind. So Stout's telling the guards, Dickerson in this case, look, you got to bounce the one technique over to Juergens. But as soon as you do that, the end's crashing. If you can come over and bounce him, the hole's going to widen open because the linebacker is blitzing off the edge. That's why they're tangoing the end. He goes, if we can get that in this game, and if you can bounce, it's going to open up a hole for Saquon. So I see Saquon. And I go, how's the offense, Saquon? What do you like? You haven't, he goes, man, Baldy, he goes, this offense is going to be wild. I go, why is that? He goes, because these holes are there, and I'm flattening, I'm getting through the hole, and then I'm trying to get a home run right away instead of pressing the safety or the force. If I press the force first so he can't flatten me, I can then turn the corner and go a long ways with my speed. Well, damn it, that's exactly what he did. So I tell that to Stout, and he goes, you saw that, Baldy, before the game? I'm like, my eyes and ears are open, Stout. Yeah, he goes, that's exactly what happened. And that was his first 60-yard run. And he said, it was on me. It was on Saquon. If I can press Tyrann Mathieu here and then bounce it like he did last week.
Yeah.
Well, he broke tackles too, but that's coaching.
Yeah.
That's great players, and that's coaching, cuz. And that's where they're different than everybody else.
You know what's so fascinating too is it doesn't matter, you stack the box. And in fact, it's funny, it works against teams like
it
the
does
Rams,
work against you.
Because when you're
Yes.
stacking that and you think you got every gap filled, and
You don't have any second layer or third layer that eliminates that. So it's a huge gamble. And the Rams lost twice. Well, the first one they won the down, but the second one for 72 yards, that's exactly what happened on the play.
Hey, Baldy, so when they stack the box like 8 people in the box, is it just a matter of the Eagles are executing these plays and blocking perfectly? And if so, how much of that is Stalin as also the run game coordinator?
Well, it is all of that. It's just a myth that you can't run against an 8-man box. Defending Jalen is a big part of winning. Like if you look at and Kansas City did the same thing last week with Mahomes when he scored. But that mesh point where the teams are kind of guessing who's got the ball at that point, and they're overplaying these plays. That's a big part of it. You got to defend 11 guys, and in an offense that doesn't have a quarterback that runs, you don't have that issue. So you can stack the box and effectively take away all the gaps. But I've always believed, when I played with the Cowboys, we'd play the Bears and they play their bare front. That's the first 8-man box that was built, and they had the players to do it. But to Cuz's point, if you can penetrate, because you're going to get a lot of, and it's happening right now with the Eagles, you're going to get a lot of 1-yard runs and 2-yard runs, and they're getting a lot of those. But you're also going to get your 60-yard runs. You have to be patient, and you're going to get your splits. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in this game against Kansas City too. So you're going to get your splits and explosive runs, but you have to be patient with it. And then this is where Stout comes in, because there's days where you go, okay, how do we get to Nick Bolton? Freaking, like we walk through it, we practice it for 2 weeks, and we can't get to him. So do you have to fold the block to get to him? Do you have to, do you have to fold the tight end inside to go block him? Like, how are we going to adjust to go block, whether it's Bolton or Tranquil or Chanel or any of the linebackers in Kansas City? Like you might not be able to fix that till game day when you see where they're at.
Yeah, and Mike Sarava, we had on Mike, who's the Vikings linebackers coach. So
Okay.
we were just talking exactly that, because, like he was like, what a nightmare it is that I just can't go, all right, well, I think I got every gap covered because of Jalen, right? And because that's another issue. And then, you have such a great player in Saquon that if he gets a second level, I'm dead, because he can make
But then you combine all of that with the number of RPOs they threw the other day.
Yeah.
And so now you have your play action pass game off it, and now you have your RPO game off it, and all of a sudden you're sticking them with first downs, and they really can't be right. They can't be right. Now they're wrong because, Malata, AJ Brown's phenomenal receiver, blocker, and so they're getting all this help in the run game. And then, okay, here's Bobby Wagner, who's seen it all. Like, he's not really sure exactly how to slow this thing down, and you get a monster day against him.
You know what's going to be fascinating is Spags against Stoutland, and because would you agree?
And Kellerman.
Would you agree that Buffalo has the second best offensive line?
Yeah, except for the 4th and 5 play at the very end of the game, the right guard,
even
decisive on the play.
Right, and it was an incredible play because it was a great overload. Josh sees it, right? He just can't get the ball out early, but he buys enough time to get the throw out to Kincaid. And it was funny because Sarava was breaking that play down. I mean, that's a fascinating, like what we're going to see on Super Bowl Sunday. This is your dream because you see this stuff. And this Spags versus that's going to be interesting.
Well, nobody blitzes, their secondary level players the way Spags does. And that was Trent McDuffie coming right through the B gap. But then Osiris Torrance was like a little frozen, and he didn't block anybody because he was caught in no man's land. You don't really see that from the Eagles ever, but it can happen. But I honestly didn't think the play was for Kincaid. I thought the play was to Shakir, who was, if you think about in the last Super Bowl where the Chiefs score 2 times off basically the same play to secondary guys where they're coming in motion and they're going back. I thought that was the play to Shakir for 4th and 5. It was wide open. Now, maybe Josh never got there because the pressure was in his face right away. Hail Mary to Kincaid. I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody in Buffalo about it. But, Kincaid still has to catch the ball. But still, Spags, all he's trying to do is heat you up and get the ball out faster than you want to get it out.
Nobody does zero like him. Like, I got to believe that we're going to see a lot of that, that Jalen's going to see a lot of that.
I mean, here's what's coming. You get to the red zone, and you're in a passing down, it's coming. Yeah. Like, I don't know where it's coming from, but it's coming. Yeah. You can study all the stats you want. You can study all the tendencies. It's coming. And it might be a blitz zero. It's coming on 3rd or 4th downs in the open field. Something's coming. You don't know where it's coming, but he's not giving it to you pre-snap. All right? So, when Washington destroyed Detroit, Aaron Glenn is giving it to you pre-snap. Like, it was easy for Jaden to see it and get to the right play. Like, he's not giving it to you now. They're not creeping on you. They're not showing you any safety rotation, not showing you anything. Same thing with the Eagles. Vic's not showing you anything either. If they do blitz, which they don't, they only do it when they feel like they have to.
You did a breakdown of Fangio, which I freaking loved, because it illustrated how not until snap do they tell you what they're doing. You won't see it pre-snap.
And that's all game. Like, the Eagles haven't been down by a whole lot much this year. But, there's a couple things. There's a reason why they're plus 10 in turnover ratio, in 3 playoff games. And we have never seen this before, ever. They're plus 10 takeaways, no turnovers. Like, you're going to win 3 in a row. But, whether they're punching the ball out or intercepting a ball right now, these quarterbacks are a little bit compromised in what they're doing because of that, because of they're not really sure until the snap.
So, big picture, how is this matchup different than in 2022?
Well, Saquon, right away. Saquon, the linebacking core is much better. They didn't have Zach Bond in that year, and they didn't have the corner in Quinion, they're so much
in the
better.
Middle of the field. Yeah.
James Bradbury was the corner.
Yeah.
Like, he couldn't cover anybody in that game. Then he got the key penalty because he couldn't run. And so he was forced to hold and grab. They called 1. They could have called 3 on him. So they're so much better at right corner. They're so much better at the slot corner in Cooper. They're so much better. Zach Bond is just an amazing player. He's never wrong. It's unbelievable how right he is in this bit. And I'm talking about, if I just did a breakdown on Zach Bond, it would go too long. You'd be bored because of fundamentally how sound he is. Like, there's an old saying, at linebacker, okay? You're trailing a play, it's an outside zone going away. You're slow till you know. Like, you're not in a rush. I see all these linebackers overrun that play, and here comes the cutback on them.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are great at that. Here comes Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
So with that, or if he steps up to clean it up, he's got his outside arm free. He's playing off with his left hand. Like, the fundamentals, he knows exactly what's going on behind him. The hardest thing for any inside linebacker is, in your drops, what's the pass action behind me? Is it a curl? Is it a cheese route? What is it? Are they throwing cheese at me so I bite up front and they're throwing it behind me? Like, that guy's ability to know what's going behind him is crazy.
He really is. He's been unbelievable. And then, obviously, it's Carter. Now, the Chiefs are a little different, too, in that they have Worthy. Like, I think they're better. Their receivers are better than they were. In that you got Worthy for it. And then they got Hopkins, and then they'll be able
what's interesting is, so here's a part of the game that's interesting. The Chiefs have a great quick game. So what they realized with Xavier Worthy, and I've seen it with some of these receivers in Mobile, when you're that size, your speed going vertical is not the biggest thing. It's just, you can get big corners to just, like, you could get Sauce Gardner, or you can get, some of these guys out there that can just, even Slay, and they can take away the deep ball.
Yeah.
But what the Chiefs have found is he's really good in the quick game. And so lateral speed, and that's what they're doing. So what's interesting is Washington tried this a bunch against the Eagles, including a 2-point conversion. Their physicality in the quick game is second to none.
I
You're
mean,
going to get
that's
a receiver
Cooper.
trying to block him on the edge.
Right? Like
Cooper
that's
to Gene,
and Cooper's a big
Quinion.
part. Yeah.
They shut your quick game down. They recognize it, and I'm telling you, they run right through your blocks. And and so the receiver is sort of at a disadvantage because you can't block until while the ball's in the air. So you have to stalk block. That's what the Eagles call it. Like you got to get in position, and then once the ball's caught, then you can attack your guy. And you don't want to attack him too soon because guys get off the block. The Eagles have figured this stuff out on the perimeter, and they attack the stalks better than anybody in this league. And so it's just something to look at during the course of this game because the Chiefs were very good at it last week. They got a lot of early completions and first downs to start that game.
Hey, all right, for us morons here, what is a stalk block?
Well, you're stalking them,
So
right?
a stalk
You
block
can't engage.
is if you don't engage too soon, you wait until at least the ball is caught. And even then, you don't engage your receiver or your defensive back until Saquon or whoever's catching the ball gets close to you. And so
Otherwise,
there's like a
penalty.
little cushion because the last thing you want to do is get on your guy too soon. And that's when you get those holding calls out there because all of a sudden now the back break makes a break and then all the officials see is your hands and the guy is restricted from going to make the tackle. So it's a timing effort to make the block and it's not a knockout block or anything. It's just position block to get on your guy as Saquon runs by you.
Is that a Fangio thing that they're so good at that?
Yeah, it's a big Fangio deal. Yeah. Like it's one of his, it's one of his things. Like being able to defeat that out there. Like we're not good. And so, but they also have the guys, some corners don't want to tackle. The Eagles like Quinion and that 2-point conversion, the first one they missed, like the play is to Austin Eckler on the outside and his ability to go make that tackle in the open field against Eckler was, took 2 points off the board.
Yeah, you know what's what I'm fascinated by too in all these matchups is what's Carter going to do in the middle because they're a little vulnerable in the interior part of that line because they had to kick Tooney out, right, to play tackle. So they're a little I know that, and that that's a worry for them. So it's going to be interesting to see with Carter because he's been a beast, Baldy.
Boy, so I don't know what the StubHub prices are for a Super Bowl ticket right now, because maybe you know better. But I would pay the StubHub prices to go watch Trey Smith against Jalen Carter. Like it's just a classic SEC matchup, Tennessee, against Georgia. But Trey Smith is the best right guard in football. He's just an alpha male. He's looking to literally rip your jugular out. Now you saw Jalen last week. I mean, just knocked the living punch. I mean, a knockout Mike Tyson punch on, Tyler Biadasz. Took the penalty, didn't care. Like that's not happening to Trey Smith. Trey Smith's going to be the highest paid guard in football when he hits free agency this year. Like he's just mentally, that matchup is going to be so much fun to watch. Now, what's interesting about that matchup is, are they going to do what Washington did and double Carter every play? Because that's what they did. And so Milton Williams had a good game. Other guys, Moro Ojomo had a good game.
Yeah.
But they doubled Carter every play. So will they do that with Creed Humphrey? Or do they think Trey Smith can handle Jalen Carter? Jalen Carter, Trey Smith, Patrick Mahomes told me about it literally the second week of practice when he was a rookie. He goes, Baldy, all I want you to do today is watch the howitzer that Trey Smith has. He started 4 fights and he's finished 4 fights. Like that guy is my favorite. He's my favorite player. Like he said that the second week of training camp when he was going after Chris Jones. The guy's mentality is he's Jalen Carter playing right guard.
What did Buffalo do in the run game that made them so successful, right? Because Cook, when they needed that drive, they ran it. And they ran it between
I don't know why they didn't do it to start the game. I don't know why they didn't come out running to start the game, to be honest with you. Like they took control of the game. I thought they had it. I thought it was 20-21, but I thought they had control of the game. Now they missed a 2-point conversion, they missed a 4th and 1, they had opportunities. But I thought that because the offense line is just that good. Doc is an unbelievable player. And I thought Osiris played really well. They're just good. They're good front. Alec Anderson comes in as 6 offense linemen. They're really good at what they do. And I think the Eagles could do the same thing. They don't have, they're every bit as good up front as the Bills are, if not better in some of those runs. But they have a couple runs that are unique to them, tackle traps, a couple different things that they like to do. But they're really good. And, the Chiefs, they're good, but they ran right at them, and they knocked them off the ball, and they creased them.
So at first blush, how do you? I know we're going to talk about it like 10 other times between now and next week, but how do you see this game script like in your mind? Because I'm sure you've already played it out.
Well, I mean, look, they hit their ghost. They got AJ involved in the game. From the very beginning. That's important. He's a unique player. I was talking to Alonzo Highsmith, who was in Tennessee with Vrabel, and when they had AJ Brown, and it gutted the team when they lost AJ. Like, he was such an integral part of that team that was run heavy and all that, like we are. But the go route against Marshawn Lattimore, if they do that against Johnson or even Trent McDuffie, he could win that route. Like, they got to take their shots. And so if they start dropping safeties down and playing single high, I think Jalen's a great deep ball thrower. He doesn't take a lot of shots, but if down the sideline, he's going to take his shots to AJ. Like, if they get one or two of those, that might be enough. But I think AJ showed. I mean, I thought Jalen showed a lot the other day of making good throws, but not putting the ball in any kind of risk. And he didn't do that the way Detroit did the week before. So he was still aggressive and just careful about it. And so it was very calculating, but it makes it a lot easier when you score on the first play of the game. It just takes all of the jitters that you have before a game completely go away. Like, you, in your mind mentally, you're already saying it's going to be a good day. We can handle these guys when you're up 7 and you put 7 on the board like that.
What is the mystique of the Chiefs, right? Like, because not only do you have to beat them, but you have to beat that mystique, right?
Well, here's the thing, cuz they come out in a formation on the opening drive of the game that they've never shown before.
Yeah.
All right. They've got Mahomes in shotgun, and they've got Kareem Hunt behind him in pistol. And he's got 2 tight ends, Kelsey and Gray, lined up in the backfield next to him. And they motion Gray into an inverted wishbone look. And they run an option play to Kareem Hunt. And the Bills completely overplay the play the other way, and Mahomes makes the right read. Kareem Hunt goes 12 yards for a touchdown. In the fourth quarter, they ran the exact same formation. They hadn't run the play since first quarter. The exact same formation. This time, they overplay Kareem Hunt at the mesh, and Mahomes goes 10 yards for a touchdown. Like, you don't know what they're going to give you. They're going to give you something you haven't seen. And that's what they did to the Eagles in that first preseason, in the first Super Bowl. And they got 2 touchdowns off basically the same motion. And the Eagles screwed it up both times. And so 2 guys that should never score against the Eagles score. And it was a difference in the game when they had that big second half comeback. So what is Andy Reid going to bring and show you in this game? You can look at all the micro bets that are out there, Kelsey, whatever. They're going to do something that they haven't seen. And, Chip Kelly told me a long time ago that, Baldy, sometimes we double up a play because it works, and sometimes we double up a play because it should have worked. And I never forgot Chip telling me that, because he doubled up plays a lot when he
all
first
the time,
got
yeah.
And that's what Andy did the other day. They brought that same play back, and Mahomes made the right read. So they're going to give you some cheese routes. They're going to give you some stuff that you haven't seen. And how are you going to handle it?
Ball, do you like the 2-week lead up, or do you want to get right to the game?
I'd like to get right to the game, but you can't do that anymore. My brother played for the Bills when they were going to 4 straight Super Bowls, and their first one was against the Giants. It was a 1-week buildup. They literally flew from the AFC Championship game to Tampa for Super Bowl 25, and it was still one of the greatest games of all time. Norwood misses a field goal to go win the game at the end. But it was a great game. I think 2 weeks, honestly, it's about everything but football for 2 weeks. And I've talked to players that have played in the game, prominent players. I'm not going to drop their names here because they probably won't want to hear this. But they're like, the last thing, he goes, it's almost anticlimactic, the game, because of all the others, halftime show, pregame show, all the stuff during the week. Can we just hurry up and play the game, a real game? Like we saw last week. I understand the 2 weeks. It's necessary with all the promotions and everything, but I kind of wish they just got back to being in I always say it's the life of a fruit fly. Fruit flies live for 7 days. Just get in your life cycle of a fruit fly. Just live your 7 days, get ready to go play.
Genius.
I don't want to be a fruit fly.
Genius.
I don't want to be a fruit fly.
A fruit fly.
Yeah.
That's genius.
Yeah.
Baldy, I said to him today, I go, dude, I want to play. I want the game.
But you got to understand, as a fan, like, you want the 2 weeks. We're celebrating for 2 weeks now. We have some Sazeracs and some bourbon, and we have a good time for 2 weeks.
No, I get the fans love it, and all the everything that's going to go in New Orleans to put on a good party and a good show and all that. I get it, but honestly, as a player, like even in the last Super Bowl, obviously the field was the story. Like they put this freaking
no Sodfather this year
logo and all this stuff all over the field, and nobody was playing on an ice skating rink, and it really detracted from the game. It's just one of those examples of like enough hype. Play the game in a parking lot. Play it at Arrowhead, but play it on a real field. Like without all those logos and guys are slipping, like that's stupid. That's really like I hope that doesn't happen.
And then I did the halftime. It's a 35-minute halftime. It's so much. It's too much. It takes away from the game.
I honestly think you'd get the same audience if you didn't have all of that. The halftime. If you had a 12-minute halftime like regular,
yeah,
I think you'd have the same audience. Like I know they're trying to draw in all these people that don't watch football and all the kind of the celebrities and all that stuff. Honestly, I think you'd get the same. You could still show all the commercials and all this. I think you'd still get the same. I think you'd still get the same 150 million people, whatever it is.
Hey, Baldy, it's $4,098 to sit upstairs. You paying that for this matchup?
No. I never paid for a concert ticket in my life. Like I wouldn't pay $100 for anything. But I'll get into the game. I'd find a way to get in. I'll tell you a quick story, and then I got to go, cuz.
Yeah.
I remember when at North Carolina when they opened up the Dean Smith Dome. So we went from Carmichael Auditorium to the Dean Smith Dome.
Yeah.
It was like the first week in January, and they're playing Duke, and Krzyzewski's got the best team in the country. So I'm visiting. I'm in Durham. I'm visiting, and I'm like, I got to get into this game, but I'm not paying any prices. So for anything. So I found out that this Bullock's Barbecue was catering the media breakfast, and I knew the guy Bullock, and I go to see him Friday night, Saturday afternoon's a game. I go, dude, can I come in and just serve eggs with your crew? I just want to get into the game. I got to get into the game. So I go in there with him, and it turns out that Mike Krzyzewski's wife, who sat behind him every single game her whole life, was ill, and she wasn't coming to the game. And I end up sitting in that seat, and there's Michael Jordan and Matt Doherty and all these famous alumni from North Carolina. They're all looking at me like I've got the best freaking seat in the house. Like, you got to find a way. You just got to find a way. But I wouldn't pay. I'd go with the catering group. I'd figure something out.
Baldy! Baldy's a caterer serving eggs to get in the game. That's genius.
I still love that story with Michael Jordan sitting up there 13 rows behind me. And I'm sitting behind
that's the greatest. Take that, MJ! A Baldy! That's fantastic. My brother, I know you got to get to practice. We'll talk to you this week. What are you? What's your schedule, by the way, real quick?
Well, I'm getting out of the country tomorrow.
Where you going?
Road less traveled, cuz. Road less traveled. Nobody needs to know. But I'll talk to you. I'll figure it out when I'm there.
All right. Let me know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
See you, bro.
I don't know if they have internet. But if they have internet, we'll do the show, cuz.
All right. Well, let me know. I'm curious where it is. Just text me. So
yeah. All right. I'll let you know.
All right.
I'll just tease you between now and then.
You're the greatest.
I'll see you, buddy.
See you, brother.
He doesn't like the 2 weeks, but it gives him enough time to go.
He's going out of the country. Who knows where he's going?
It doesn't have internet. That's all we know.
Oh my God, he's the greatest. That's great stuff, man. That's great stuff. Man. All right, we're gonna take care of some business. Well, we're gonna go actually back down to Mobile in a little bit, in 15 minutes, because we're gonna talk to Fran Duffy.
Oh, nice.
Who's down there for PHLY doing some great stuff Where do you see the draft stuff that Franny's doing? It's ridiculous. It's so good. It really is. Baldy's with me, Gus.
Yeah, of course. You guys don't like to have fun outside of football.
What the fuck? That is the fun.
Yeah, you can have.
I mean, 2 weeks, you're waiting and wait. And meanwhile, there's nothing this weekend. Flag football. Are you kidding me?
TV Todd will give you something to hang out with to watch this weekend.
I need. This is when I go through withdrawal.
Come on, we get to watch the Manning brothers go head to head.
I'm out. All right, let's pay some bills. Talk about our friends. Like Valley Forge Tourism. Make it Montco. Yes. Winter weekend getaways. Yeah, maybe this weekend go to Montco.
Yeah.
Go to Valley Forge. That's right. Family-friendly affordability awaits in Valley Forge in Montgomery County, PA. So much to offer, like must-see historical sites, tons of family attractions, a vibrant art scene, outdoor activities, a ton of them, shopping. I mean, you name it. Just 18 miles from downtown Philadelphia.
It goes by. It's an easy, quick getaway.
And
My
by the way,
dogs don't love the car. They like going out there on the road trip. It's nice.
It's beautiful.
Close,
yeah. It really is beautiful out there. I'm going to look at the weather because the weather is actually going to be nice. I mean, even now it feels like after what we went through, right?
Oh, this is like spring. I'm
it's beautiful
almost ready
out.
for baseball with this weather.
And
I mean, the weekend, Saturday's going to be 48 degrees.
Oh, man.
wow.
Bust out the shorts.
Yeah, Friday 51.
Woo.
Saturday
51.
48.
Yeah.
We're down to 40, but then Monday back up to 54.
All right.
See, that's where you can enjoy Montco, man. ValleyForge.org can help you discover hidden gems, endless activities, tons of places to stay in Montco. That's right. Get started planning on that next getaway today. ValleyForge.org. Make it family friendly and make it Montco.
Make it Monco. Hey, I'm talking to you, all my brethren out there with thinning hair, receding hairlines. Maybe you got the monk thing going on in the back. I've been there with you. There's help. Glad Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical. They are there to help you. Established by the late and great Dr. Paul Glatt, now part of the Morgenstern Center under the direction of renowned plastic surgeon Ken Morgenstern. They are Dr. Morgenstern's recognized specialist and among the few surgeons in the country trained in oculofacial surgery. Him and Dr. Glatt, they shared a remarkable bond that spanned many years. They worked on research projects together. They worked in the operating room together. So what makes Glad Hair Restoration by Morgenstern better than all the rest? Well, you get the same peerless approach to care and the same expert team, the same unmatched Glatt system. Each member of this team brings over 30 years of industry experience, and all they do is hair restoration. They can help during all stages of hair loss with leading-edge treatments for prevention and restoration, including laser light therapy and non-invasive TED treatments. Each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint your best course of treatment, and a caring patient advocate works with you from your first phone call to your last follow-up visit because they know this is an emotional, stressful time. Glad Hair isn't just about restoration, it's about innovation. Their breakthrough treatments dramatically change lives. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glad Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain that confidence. Visit gladhairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started. Glad, glad, glad.
Hey, he makes you feel good about the game, though.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
like when you think about it, and it goes back to it, can they be stopped? Can this running game be stopped?
No, they cannot. And I just saw the Chiefs have not given up a 100-yard rusher in their last 18 playoff games. That ends in a week and a half.
But again, and they might have given it up to Cook.
If they would have kept with it.
You know?
Yeah.
That is going to be a fascinating chess match to watch. You know, Spags knowing what they're going to do, right? You know he's going to try to run it. And then, like you saw last week, like Buffalo, that's why I brought up Buffalo, because Buffalo has a great O-line. Like I think they're number 2 to the Eagles. That's you know. So that's an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I feel like
and Buffalo won.
Yeah, I feel like the chess match is on the other side with Fangio versus Andy Reid, where I feel like our running game versus Spags is just brute force. It's just going to come down to mano a mano, power, execution. I'm going to love it.
You're
I can't
right.
wait.
That's a great point. The chess match of Andy versus
Can Vic?
Vic.
Can Vic prep this team for what Andy's going to bring out?
You know, it's funny because I know that historically that, Mahomes has had success and all this other stuff against Fangio defenses, but it's not apples to apples. You know, he's in Denver and they're not a good team. I mean, you look at, one of the things that I love about this defense, I mean, Quignon's ridiculous, but they're so much better than middle of the field. Right, Cooper DeJean is so vital to this thing.
Not only I was thinking last night because I saw the highlights again. He is so good on the bubble screen. Cooper, he fights through blocks. There was the Cooper Cup 4th down. He did it this last game.
Dude, that's fighting through the stalk block.
The guys,
that's the stalk block.
All right, yeah.
Like when you're talking like that perimeter stuff.
Yeah,
that he's so good at.
So good.
That's what Baldy that's what Baldy was just talking about.
Yeah,
like because. Andy's going to do that to Worthy. Like, that's what they do. Boom. And Washington tried to do that a couple of times last week, and they couldn't get it done.
Yep.
So you got him there, and then you got him middle of the field.
With Baun. I wanted to ask Baldy, what do you think? Like, Baun, is it just ineptitude in New Orleans? He's there 4 years. A Fangio can't really coach him up this much. Is it just the perfect system?
Yeah.
Just the perfect system for Baun?
I do believe that there's so much talent that I always say it's a coach's league for a reason, because I think if you're in the right place, right, with the right coach that sees something in you, your career is going to be good. Who was the guy? There was a quarterback. I actually liked him. Jason Campbell. You remember Jason Campbell? So he was with Washington. He was with a bunch of different teams. He was a quarterback at Auburn. He had like 5 different OCs in 5 years. And he had a good arm and he could move a bit. I thought that with the right coach, he could have success. And I'm like, I believe that, especially with quarterbacks, man. Like think about how, and this takes nothing away from Hurts, but like when you have that offensive line,
yeah.
I mean, like, I still don't understand why teams don't focus on your line first.
Right.
Like I just don't even understand
the Bengals.
it.
So what are the Bengals doing?
Like really, like you have Joe Burrow.
Right.
Like, hey, it's great that you got Higgins and Chase and they have the third receiver. You worry about your front.
Yeah.
Like worry about your front. Like you know, everybody wants to go edges, right? They're all tackles. But if your middle is soft, you're got nothing, man.
No quarterbacks likes that middle pressure.
Right? The A-gap stuff, like it kills you. Nobody likes that. You know, I just don't, I don't know.
And I mean, Fangio's never had, I don't know if Mahomes ever gone up against Fangio with the number 1 overall defense.
Well, that's it. Like, that's why you can't, that's why that's meaningless.
Yeah.
Like, when you're talking about, oh my God, oh, look at that. Andy owns Fangio. Well, what's that mean? Listen, you know Andy's a great coach. I mean, obviously. He knows he's going to script his plays. And, you know, like, to me, one of the things that's going to be interesting in the game is who has the ball. Because the Eagles, you know, the one thing the Eagles can't do is fall behind by more than 2, you know, by 2 scores. Like, you don't want them chasing, right? Like,
no.
The Eagles are what in horse racing. I got to ask my boys, Tooch and Boo. They're horse.
Are they horse guys?
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy it.
Hoof behind?
I guess there's front. I don't know. There's a term, horse racing term. I don't know. I'm not a. Those guys are they
love the ponies.
They love the ponies. You're a horse guy too?
A hoof behind.
Is that it?
No, I'm making that
I
up.
don't know. Look, I don't know the vernacular.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Like,
He's a little giddy about that.
I know. Kind of like Romo talking about.
He got
let cook.
You're like, oh, is that what it is? He's like, no.
Cook.
Yeah.
Like, what the frick?
He loves that he got you. No, I just made it up.
Yeah. A weirdo. I love him, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's important that you just don't. You know, you got to keep your
Can't
formula.
panic. Yes.
You got to keep your formula. Does losing Kellen Moore, does that concern you?
No. It's like, I don't understand why anyone would hire Kellen Moore as a head coach. We've had people here. He doesn't exude head coach material to me when I see him talk or anything.
I agree with it.
Get it.
I don't see him like as
No.
the head coach type of dude. I don't know. I hear you.
Yeah. So
And, you know what's funny? He had, God bless him. I think he did a good job, right? Like they realized who they were.
I mean, is he bringing Barkley with him?
Right, exactly. Right, like. I don't know. Like 2 years ago, he was a mess with the Chargers. Right? Like that's the whole thing. All right. Got to pay a couple bills, and then we're going to go back to Mobile, right? At 10 o'clock, talk to Franny. And then we're going to go to Zach. So we have Z Berm. So we'll talk more about the Kellen Moore stuff.
Ooh, I wonder how he's
Zach
layered
Berman.
up today. What's Zach's layers look like today? He's a fashionable cat. That doesn't
He's sitting
interest
there
you?
thinking about Zach Berman's outfit.
Yeah, man. I
We got a Super Bowl to think about.
It's all right. It's probably we got 2 weeks, plenty of time. There's plenty of time
That's
to worry
what I
about
mean.
Zach's.
Like, that's what I mean. Like,
That's too
he's
much time.
talking about Z Berm's outfit.
Yeah, he's got too much time on his hands.
The people love Z-Berm's outfits. I'm sorry. I'm just a man of the people.
Farts,
Yeah, I guarantee Big Farts Jones appreciates Zach's layers.
or the brain.
No, they don't appreciate the brain's layers right now.
I think the brain.
The brain needs a timeout.
The brain's in timeout, right?
Yeah, he needs a timeout.
And judging by the chat the last couple of days, I was like, yeah. We'll do Cousins Corner. Give the brain a break a little bit. The brain's in witness protection right now.
CK Red, love it. Z Berm dresses well, honestly. See, man, the people respect it.
You're out of your mind. All right, let's talk about the BetPark Sportsbook online casino app. Yes, here it is. It's the big game. And what do we got? Give me a live.
Load this up.
So is it still 1.5?
Ooh,
And
I hope it's 1. I hope I log in and see
I'm
a
curious
1.
to see if it moves at all.
Right?
By the way, I think the Eagles are the better team. I'm trying not to be, get caught up in the Super Bowl.
They have a better quarterback, but the Eagles are the better team.
Yeah.
It's been that
think you're
way
very
every
right.
playoff matchup.
I mean, they have the better fronts. Again, who's got the better O-line? Who's got the better D-line? Right?
Yep.
What do we got?
1.5. Over under still 49.5. Was it 49.5 yesterday?
I think it's going to tick up.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's going to tick up.
Yeah.
All right. So, listen, all the props, Saquon over. Keep just going Saquon over. Saquon over. That was one of the best ones. You know what? I could see them not punting either. I don't know what the punt total is.
The Eagles or the whole.
Andy will punt a little bit more, but I could
God.
see them having
BetParks,
both long
just
drives.
if you're itching, I just went to BetParks, in addition to money line and over under, has 805 additional wagers
serious?
possible.
I like the over Eagles team total too.
Yeah, that was 23.5 yesterday.
24.5. Yeah, I like the over Eagles total.
God,
it's all there
There's
for
so
you.
much stuff here.
All right, so check it out. It's the BetPark Sportsbook online casino app. Download it to your phone. In fact, they have all the casino games as well, so you can make your downtime fun time. Right, live dealer, blackjack, roulette, craps, baccarat, like him.
Baccarat.
All right, you got all your slots, the Squid Game slot, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. So check it out. Always a new way to win on the BetPark Sportsbook online casino app. All right, betparks.com has all the details for all the promotions. Like if you're a new customer, you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. So you got to be 21. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. And I don't have to tell you about the monster game and food. When it comes to parties and food and what to do, where you go?
Primo.
Exactly. It's football food. You're going to do a party. You're going to have a party. So you want pickies. You want the Primo hoagie tray with the little pickies and the toothpicks. And you can get whatever sandwiches you want. You want chicken cutlets. You want turkey. You want Italian. You want Diablos. They'll whack them up.
Tuna for some veggie pea.
Right, they'll whack them up, and then you have the whole thing. Boom. You stick the toothpick in. You
Boom.
get it. Right, it's perfect. pepperoni cheese trays.
Potato salad, macaroni salad.
Yeah, I don't like that, but you like
I
that.
do.
You guys are killing me. It sounds so good.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it is. So make your party. All right, Primo. Go to primohoagies.com. Check out all the locations. There's going to be one nearest you, and you'll say what I always say. It's not just a hoagie. It's a Primo.
Big Farts Jones has checked in. Z-Berm is dapper as hell. Respect.
This portion of the show presented by Rite Aid. RiteAid.com to find the nearest store and pharmacy. All right, we got our man. Is he ready to go? Where do you see what we're cooking here when it comes to the draft? All right, because we got...
It's like War and Peace, I'm sure.
Yes. We want to talk about a young Baldy. All right. But he's even more like about football, if that's possible.
That's not possible. Is it possible?
I mean, he just like I had to come kick him, drag him, get him kicking and screaming to come do the show. He's like, practice starts at 10:25. All right. Let's go to Franny Films, Leatherhead.
They do not crave food nor drink for nourishment, for they exist solely on the glow of the all-22 monitors. They are the Leatherheads, and he is Franny Film.
Leatherhead, there he is.
Oh, man, he's outside. I haven't seen him outdoors in a long time.
He's in the stands. Wow. He's going to get color.
Wow, get some SPF on you.
I got burned here last year, guys, so I got to try and not replicate that mistake here for 2025.
Well, of course you did, because you're inside watching film, right?
It's like it's like newborn skin.
It's like the first sunlight that you see. You're like Count Fran, all right?
I got to take the vitamin D to counteract me being in the shade for 4 months of the year, but we're making do. It's been a good trip so far.
What's the weather like over there?
This week has been beautiful. It was last week they had snow down here. They had like a few inches of snow on the ground a week ago, which they never have. But it's been beautiful. The high 50s, low 60s. It's a beautiful day today. So it should be a good day for football.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day for football. Before we get into all of what's happening down there in Mobile and all your draft prep and all your notes, let's talk about what we saw last Sunday against Washington and the dominance again that the Eagles exhibited. We've been talking about it all morning with Baldy on both fronts, Fran. It was yet another dominating performance.
Yeah, I think when you look at just the line of scrimmage on both sides, like you mentioned, certainly really impressive performances against a Washington team that they should have gone out and dominated, right? And that was one of the reasons why I felt so confident going into that game, is when you just look at both sides of the field, certainly line of scrimmage, but even all the other positions, the only one you would argue would be, all right, like Jaden Daniels, he can be the X factor. And when I was at the Shrine Bowl in Dallas a few days ago, leading up to the game, anyone I talked to around the league, from a scout standpoint, from a coach standpoint, what do you think about Sunday? Say, feel good about everything. The Eagles should win. Jaden Daniels, like if Jaden Daniels goes off, but the Eagles did such a good job of limiting him. Vic Fangio, the game plan was outstanding. I shared some numbers from the post-game show about what Jaden Daniels did after, when it was late in the down. If he had to hold the ball for more than 2.5 seconds, his efficiency dropped. And that was an area where he had been so good. Think about all the big plays he made as a scrambler this past year. They really kept the lid on that passing game. They didn't let him beat them on the ground. He had the one long run at the end of the second quarter in the 2-minute drill. But outside of that, they really limited what the rookie quarterback could get done. And after that, it was curtains for that team.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it was just incredible. Jaden Daniels, for the first time, looked like a rookie. Like he looked that it seemed insurmountable for him. Like you could tell that he had lost. Against Detroit, he was able to do whatever he wanted. And that was completely the opposite on Sunday.
Yeah, you could see the look on his face. Honestly, the last time I saw him look like that was in Week 11, where he did not have a great game, and it was when he came to the link and the Eagles, beat Washington. They were on a little bit of a win streak there, and the Eagles took care of business that night. So, to me, this game was won on the line of scrimmage. I mean, obviously, 7 rushing touchdowns speaks for itself. But I think when you look at what this team can do going into this matchup against Kansas City, You're going to lean on the run game. You hope that Jalen Hurts can continue doing what. I mean, that was honestly my biggest takeaway was the execution from a pass game standpoint. This is what we have been talking about on the show for weeks and months. I mean, because it doesn't need to be Jalen Hurts throwing for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. It needs to be, are you efficient? Are you aggressive attacking down the field when you do have those dropbacks? The variety was outstanding. You had play action, you had the RPOs, you had the little gadget pop passes just to steal, just little quick, little easy completions to stay ahead of the sticks and complement the run game. I thought it was a great job from Nick Sirianni, Kellen Moore from the offensive staff. And then Jalen obviously just being nails throughout the game. I mean, he had 8 incompletions, but 4 of them were throwaways. He had 2 drops. So he had really just like 2 misses on the day for Jalen when he threw over 25 passes. That's outstanding efficiency from a guy that you need that from here going up against Steve Spagnuolo and this defense.
Well, the play of the game was the 4th and 5. I mean, what a throw. The first, I think he checked to it, and the throw was just a perfect throw. I mean, and again, that was an important conversion because the game, it was weird. It felt like they were up by 30, but a play here, play there brings Washington back into the game. And that was a huge conversion.
And that's what it's about, right? Is that, we know like Saquon Barkley, it's only a matter of time until he breaks one. But it's about, especially in the playoffs, when you get into those one-game samples, those 2 or 3 plays, right? Who makes those 2 or 3 plays? And you don't know when those plays are going to come. Yeah, it might be the 4th and 5, and you would probably circle that if you knew the play sheet going in. All right, this 4th and 5 could be important, but who executes better than the other team, in those moments? And Jalen Hurts delivering that throw, we just haven't seen that, right? I mean, that was the identity of that pass game going back in 2022 in that first Super Bowl run with Jalen Hurts in this version of the offense. And we just haven't seen that aggressiveness down the field. And so that was certainly a sight for sore eyes. To me, the completion that was most exemplary of like the way that this pass game operated in this game. And just when I saw this, I said, Jalen's feeling it today, was that first 3rd down completion to Dallas Goedert was 3rd and 7. I think it went for 18 yards.
Yes.
Where they showed man coverage, Washington outside. Dallas Goedert's lined up wide outside the numbers, and it's a safety over. And that should immediately tell Jalen this is man-to-man coverage. Well, he brings Goedert in motion. Chin walks with him again. Another sign. All right, it's probably man-to-man coverage. Well, the Eagles, they had a man-to-man coverage beater to Jalen's right on the opposite side. They had a zone coverage beater to the left. Jalen, even though Washington's saying man, he never even looks at the man-to-man side. He read through that disguise. Washington, even though they showed man, they spun out of it and went to cover 2, a version of zone coverage. Jalen knew it. He was on it. He got the ball to Goedert. Goedert caught the ball past the sticks and then picked up more after the catch. When I saw that play live in the game on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, this is going to be a good offensive day. This is going to be a good Jalen Hurts performance and just an outstanding night overall.
What was your takeaway, Kansas City, Buffalo?
Well, I mean, I was being asked as the game was going, all right, who's the better matchup? And I was talking out of both sides of my mouth. I was like, this, but also, I look at Buffalo's defense. I think I like that matchup a little bit more. At the end of the day, I think when you're going up against Spags, I mean, you saw it on that final play or on that 4th down play. And even Tony Romo, he says it, right? He says, all right, he's not going to get, Josh Allen's not going to get pressured here. He's not going to get pressure because Spags is going to blitz, and he blitzes the corner. Buffalo didn't expect it. Romo didn't expect it, and that's what I think. That's the identity of this Steve Spagnuolo defense, is that he is going to throw stuff at you that you don't expect. So you have to expect the unexpected, and you just got to go out and execute. And so that's going to be the big task here for Jalen Hurts. We saw him do it back in February of 2023. Now it's about doing it here on another big stage.
Yeah, and we were talking about the chess match, and Fangio and Andy is going to be interesting because now, the Eagles defense is equipped, right? Like they're with Cooper, with Quinyon, with Carter up front, Zach Bond, they're equipped to handle, to match up.
Yeah, no question. I think when you look at, especially in the middle of the field, some of the things that the Eagles can do in this game, but handling motions, they've been so good at handling that throughout the year. I just don't think that they're going to have those coverage busts that we saw from this defense back in 2022. I just think that they are, to your point, they are much better equipped to be able to handle those kinds of plays. They're going to stop the run. They should be able to stop the run at a higher rate than what they did in that game. Remember, Pacheco was a huge part of that win, out in Arizona. And so, to me, when I look at this defense, this matchup should favor the Eagles in that way. But we know it's playoff Mahomes, it's playoff Kelsey, it's playoff Andy, it's playoff Spags. They're going to have to bring their A game to come away and hoist the Lombardi Trophy again.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I struggle sometimes to figure out the best way to attack the Eagles because of what they do and force you to matriculate down the field and their strengths about not giving up big plays. They're a tough team to game plan against.
Yeah, I mean, you have to find ways to be able to create chunk plays underneath and in the middle of the field. I mean, when you have that ability to take away the deep ball like the Eagles defense does, I mean, that makes things like that, and that's why teams try to replicate that, right? That's why teams have been trying to adopt this Vic Fangio scheme over the last few years, is because when you do that and you force the offense to play left-handed, and then when you stop the run the way the Eagles do, that's the thing, man, is that when you look at this defense and you've got the ability to take away the deep ball, but then you also stop the run with light boxes. If you're Andy and you're this offensive staff, it's tough to go into it. And then I would say conversely for Spags going in and trying to game plan, if you look at the way that the Eagles offense executed this past week, that's what's terrifying about it, because the run game's operating at full tilt. And then you've got the pass game operating this way with three blue chip weapons in AJ and Devontae and Dallas Goedert. It makes it very, very difficult to go in and say, all right, we feel good about stopping this, but you have to have an answer B, answer C, answer D as well. It's going to be a tough matchup for them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say, Franny, when I was looking at it, I don't know much about the secondary of the Chiefs, to be honest with you. But when I look through numbers and stuff, it seems like they struggle. The linebackers, I guess, struggle against the tight end. The Chiefs give up the most receiving yards per game to the tight end position at like almost 68 yards a game. So do you see, is that something that you would target from what you know, should we expect a nice game from Goddard?
I have to go. I want to go back and look at some of those numbers because one thing, I mean, they went up against Brock Bowers twice. Bowers was setting up records this year. He was tearing every defense apart. But I do think, that is a defense where, look, when you go up against Steve Spagnuolo, right, you're going to have that unexpected pressure that we talked about. Often the tight end is that security blanket. And so I feel like teams, you're going to go into that thinking, all right, the tight end probably needs to be a focal point of this game plan. And that's the thing, is that when you look at the way Goddard was used in this game, and we saw the screen game, we saw the RPO game, we saw him taking handoffs in the backfield, the jet sweep stuff. So, finding creative ways to get 88 involved. We haven't always seen that this year. And for them to show that in the NFC title game could be a big sign for what we see in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah. Hey, yo, Frank, first of all, tell us what you're doing, all right? Because I know, are we still doing that? Yo, Andrew, do we still have that deal going on? Diehards?
That deal ended yesterday.
All right, well, we still have deals happening.
But we will have many deals.
He's still worth full price, too.
Well, I mean,
sure.
I just want Franny to tell people what they're doing. He sent me a picture of his notes.
Did you call the FBI?
I love this guy. I do. I love you, dude. Being a diehard, forget all the other stuff, all the great stuff from Zach and our Eagles, our Sixers, our Fly, Charlie, and what he does, Phillies with Jimmy Salisbury. What you do with this draft and what you're doing is unbelievable content. It's ridiculous.
No, it's going to be a fun few months for sure. And look, I've been studying these guys going back to the spring and the summer, and now being able to share those notes. Those notes went live on allphly.com across the entire All-City network, but you can find it on allphly.com. 167 write-ups, I think, are in there now. That number, I don't want to say it's going to double, but it's going to increase exponentially here in the coming weeks as I continue to get more eyes on these players. I'm out of practice right now. I can give you guys a little bit of a look as guys are starting to take the field. So here in Mobile at the University of South Alabama, Hancock Whitney Stadium, this is the national team getting ready to take the field. I've got my notes. I've got my knockers. I got my venti coffee. We're cooking, ready to go here. But basically, every single day, I've got the recaps from the Senior Bowl. I've got my one from yesterday, from day one. That's going to be live on the site here this morning. But you want to make sure you go check out that database. And the fun thing about the draft database this year is that it's not going to be, wait till April and you get Fran's final rankings. You'll get to see as I'm continuing to watch guys, because I watch these guys constantly. I might have watched 7 or 8 games already of Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to watch 2 more. I'm going to add notes to that, right? And that's the same case for all of these players. Obviously, seeing them live down here is going to carry a lot of weight. Seeing them live at the combine, that's going to carry weight. And so I'll always be adding to it. And so it's a living and breathing document, and you'll be able to see those changes and how they evolve with all of these players leading up to the draft at the end of April.
a living and breathing document. Are you kidding me? That's awesome, Fran. This is just such great work. Dude, I love it. I love every second of it. I see it. I read it. I'll probably be with you at the Combine because I can't stay away from it. Just great stuff, dude. All right? Really. Fantastic.
I appreciate it, man. That's it's one of the best times of the year. Very busy, but no, it's a great trip. I'm excited to be able to share my notes every single day with you guys.
Love it. Love it. Great stuff, Fran. Thanks, buddy.
All right, see you guys.
There he is, films.
I saw a movie about a living and breathing book document. Evil Dead is scary. Hey, can I give a quick shout out?
Evil Draft.
Johnny B on Twitter hit me up to this story. So Tailgate Ted, he's been on radio saying how they took over and stuff, and then he mentioned in an interview he's
still with this Tailgate.
He's living
Ted?
in our head rent free. Eagle fans, they lost one of their Washington tailgaters to lung cancer. And they have a GoFundMe, and Eagle fans are taking over the GoFundMe, and they're making donations, and it's great work by you. They're
awesome.
Donating money, but they're saying taking over Hard Rock is lame, but so is cancer. Go Birds, F cancer. The only thing I hate more than commies is cancer. Everyone's making these statements as they donate money. So good work by the Eagle
That's
fans.
Great. Listen. I loved when the Bills did that stuff.
Yeah.
I love what we do that stuff. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It is. It's great stuff. This is interesting. This Bet Online website, or whatever, did a piece about these fan bases that are boycotting the Super Bowl. Did you see this?
I told you a chunk of the country would rather have a meteor storm.
This is unbelievable.
Either one win.
All right. So people are going. They have no interest. They are no between Mahomes, Taylor Swift, and everything else. These are the top fan bases claiming that they will be boycotting the Super Bowl based on the number of boycott tweets. Are you ready? Take a guess.
Giants.
Giants are number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Wow.
9, 10.
Wow.
Who's number one is obvious.
It is?
Yeah.
Cowboys?
No.
Oh.
Cowboys are 9, just ahead of the Giants.
Raiders? Bills?
Bills.
Bills are boycotting?
The Bills
Oh,
are
man.
the
I thought
Bills
they'd be better sports than that.
Mafia boycotting the Super Bowl. There's almost 25,000 tweets of people claiming they will boycott the
That
Super
is
Bowl.
lame because we give them credit. We're like, we want to see them win. They're sore losers up there.
You know who's number 2?
I feel bad for him.
Close to us.
The commies? Washington?
Close.
New York?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Baltimore's number 2.
A bunch of sour grapes with all these people.
I feel bad for the Bills.
Number 3 is another obvious one.
The
NFC.
Packers.
Close.
Vikings.
Vikings are 5.
Oh, man.
They're petty. The Vikings fans.
Niners hate
North
us.
or South?
North.
NFC North. Bears?
No, the obvious.
Oh, Lions.
Yes,
Lions.
Detroit.
Lions.
Man, all sore losers.
This one I don't get. So it goes Bills, Ravens, Lions, Browns.
Cleveland's upset.
The Browns Browns fans are boycotting the Super Bowl.
That's got to be Chiefs hate. That's got to be.
Then the Vikings. Then the Saints. If I were you, Saints fans, I'd watch the Super Bowl because of Kellen Moore.
Yeah, you know what you're getting.
Right?
Yeah.
Then Miami.
They care.
Do they even have fans?
Right.
No.
Who's
Miami
tweeting out of
fan.
Miami? It must
Who's
be
a
a bot.
Dolphins
These
fan?
must be bots tweeting
This
this
is
out.
bot stuff.
Then Cincinnati.
I understand Cincinnati.
Dallas.
Yeah.
The Giants.
Yeah.
I understand. NFC
Denver. I guess
Denver
that's
had a
Kansas City.
good run. I don't know.
I know. You're both, exactly. Then Chicago, then Washington.
This is more for the Chiefs hate than it is the Eagles. They just
no
no
one
one
wants
wants
sour.
no
The
one-
Giants
bunch
are
of
Eagles.
sore
no one wants to
losers,
see
too.
the Chiefs. You know what I was thinking about? Interesting.
What's that?
Kellen Moore possibly going to the Saints. This would be the second time the Eagles, back-to-back Super Bowls, that a coordinator has left for the hosting city. because Gannon leaves for Arizona. They play in the Arizona. And then if they play here in New Orleans, Kellen Moore would then leave for the Saints.
Not bad. I like
That's
that.
actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Crazy little stat there.
Nice work. Nice work, Free.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is it?
Yeah, I respect that. I didn't notice that.
Is that a trend?
I don't know.
Not even a breadcrumb. Come on.
I got a bunch of stones over that. You sound like Romo. Let cook.
A hoof behind. Come on. It was clever.
Can I help you out here too? Saturday is wall-to-wall college hoops from noon to midnight.
It's always Saturday.
No, not like this is a big day. You got 5 versus 8, 20 versus 14, 1 versus 23, 22 versus 6, Duke versus North Carolina, 25 versus 9. I mean, ESPN is doing a huge event on Saturday.
What's it called? I like their event.
Yeah,
I always like their event. I have
to. They got a big game day coming.
I gotta make the transition into college basketball. Like I've watched, but I haven't did a deep dive yet.
Yeah.
And I can't. The NBA, I can't do it.
Brutal,
dude. I can't do this. I tried to watch last night.
Same. I saw people tweeting about it. I was like, wow, people are watching this?
I tried to watch. And listen, I love Maxey. I love him, man. And it's Sixers, Lakers. It's LeBron, right? Like, I'm watching Yabusele, and like, he's not bad, but you get my point, right? Like, it's just the Lakers have nobody. The Lakers have no, and then, with
JJ Redick, what's he thinking?
The minute that they lose Anthony Davis, they had nothing. Like, and I'm looking at this league, and there's nobody I want to watch.
Nah,
this
league
got nothing
for me.
Dreadful.
Yeah,
and
it's bad.
And I'm an NBA fan, right? Like, I consider myself I'm an NBA fan. I struggle. First of all, I hate Boston. They're the best team, but I hate the Celtics. This is when the time comes, right, where Super Bowl, and then they would make the transition, right? Like Sunday afternoon. And this is why this league, other than Wemby, what's positive about this league?
He's the only thing.
I mean, I am a draw blank because I'm zoned out on it. I was going to get back into it around the playoffs, but I'm zoned out right now.
They were running the promo yesterday. I was watching ESPN, and they were doing the All-Star promo for the NBA. And me and my buddy are sitting there just looking at it like, ugh. Like, we have absolutely no interest in watching
There's
any
a problem. And by the way, the Jimmy Butler nonsense just makes it worse.
Yeah, really, it does.
Like, you can't have a league where the players go, you know what? I don't want to play here anymore, so I'm not showing up.
Right. Yeah, I'm just going to be a problem now for you.
Forget the fact that I make a zillion, like, generational wealth each season.
Yeah.
Right? Forget that.
And I'm in Miami.
I'm in Miami, and I make generational wealth.
Right.
But, yeah, I'm unhappy. I want to pout so I can go to Phoenix.
People want to bring him here for Paul George.
Are you kidding me?
Get out of here.
Listen, he's a jerk off. All right? Let me just say it. He's a stone jerk off, Jimmy. He's jerk off Jimmy. All right?
You said it.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. He's a selfish.
He's a me guy, for sure.
He is, man. It's horrible.
Yep.
But that's what this league is.
Yeah, I feel like the entire league is me guys. And Adam
God
Silver.
bless Maxey and Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I love Anthony Edwards. I root for him.
Yeah. But they got to get a control of this league because it's too player driven. The players are making too many other choices.
I don't mind. Like, you pay, get paid all you want. Like, whatever. You're a big part of it. I believe that the players, I don't begrudge them a dollar.
Nah, the owners are making bank. The players should be making bank.
So if you're selling, if you do an NBC deal, which they did,
like $1.5 billion a year.
I'm going, oh my God.
Right.
What did I get myself into?
It's an 11-year deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what did I just?
There goes the cable bills.
Because we always think that it's endless, that there is no saturation point. They may have it with the NBA.
They need to do something. Something's got to change because I'm a big hoops guy, but
love
I'm
it.
out on it right now.
Like, and here's the thing.
And it's bigger than Philly. Like Philly's a mess, but it's bigger than Philly.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, I could sit back and watch Tyrese Maxey play ball. I love to watch him play. And like last night when he's cooking, like my biggest disappointment about last night was that he didn't play in the fourth quarter, but a couple minutes. I wanted to see him get 50. Like I was watching the game, just wanting Maxey to score 50. That was it.
That's it. That's the rooting interest. That's what it is.
That was
right
what
now.
I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted to see him drop 50. Like, I love him. But my God, the rest of that, it's just trash. It's trash. Horrible. Now,
De'Aaron Fox trying to go to San Antonio now.
Yeah. Like, all of a sudden, guys go, I don't want to play here.
Yeah.
Like, what about free agency? What about all this stuff?
Nah.
That's why the NFL works. Like, and here's the other thing. I can't wait for baseball. Right? Like, I'm really looking forward to baseball.
The 60 days?
Right. But here's the problem with baseball. The Dodgers.
Oh, that's absurd.
Dude, what they're doing.
That's not fair. It's not fair.
It's not.
It's wrong.
What do you
It's
mean?
extremely
terrible.
wrong.
Can't anyone else do it if they want to?
Yes, but that's why there needs to be a real cap. That's why these thresholds and penalties and you need a hard cap. The NFL laid the model out for everybody. This is what you do so that the Pirates and the Packers can exist in sports.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. You have Paul Skeens, who's a great story.
But he's not going to thrive in Pittsburgh.
Well, therein lies the point. You need a cap. You need a real cap.
The Dodgers thing.
The Dodgers are an all-star.
They spent over $1 billion in the last two off seasons.
Unbelievable. I mean, we'll look at it further after the Super Bowl when we get into it. But, I mean, now the good thing is in baseball, you can, as we know, you can be great all season long and, we get into the playoffs and you get funk and that's that.
Yeah, but
it's hard to stay healthy in baseball.
They have
Long
every
grind.
Japanese pitcher, all the best Japanese pitchers going to that team.
It's
It's
so dumb.
insane.
Terrible.
Their pitching staff is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who they signed
And by the
yesterday?
way, you got Ohtani.
He's going to start
this year.
pitching.
Like,
They got like 8 1s or 2s.
what is it? Like, the only sport that hasn't figured out is football.
Why is that? Are the unions too strong in the other leagues? I don't understand it. I don't. This deferred thing, like I guess we should all do it.
The other night, what was it? Was it last night? I put on Ducks. I watched Ducks and Kraken.
Oh no, he's Kraken.
Yeah.
Kraken, yeah.
Like I tell you, I'm looking for the hot NHL playoffs, and like the Flyers are going to be fun for a few. The Flyers are going into a fun time.
Yeah,
But I got to tell you, I'm worried about these other sports. Anyway, there's plenty of time for that after the Super Bowl.
yeah.
I'm gonna miss it, man.
2 weeks. We got 2 weeks.
Yeah, man, it's
I'm
still here.
gonna
We still got
miss it.
10,
We'll slow
11
the
days.
time.
10, 11 days.
Enjoy
All
it.
right. Well, let's talk about the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. Yes. It's got it all. All those props. Would you say how many props were there?
803 or something.
I mean, think about how insane that is.
Let me get to the main. Here we go. I'm on the NFL page. You can see the spread, the money line, the total points, and a little button that says 805 more wagers.
If you can figure out the game script, right? That's the key to it. How's the game going to go?
Yeah.
First touchdown. There's certain things. People love the coin toss.
Mm-hmm.
Tails
never fails. Yeah, you got to go tails never fails.
They got to have all that. But then they have which team receives it, which team wins the coin. Like, all right,
yeah.
Which way the grass is growing,
how
like ridiculous
long
stuff.
is the national anthem over under?
Yeah.
The color of the Gatorade.
Yeah, that's all. People love it, man.
Here you
It's
go. Bet Parks. The match to end with a scoreagami. Yes is plus 2,000. That's a score that's never happened before in NFL history.
What's left of the scoreagamis?
I feel like everything's
Scoregami's awesome. Like, actually, it's a brilliant
there to be an octopus plus 1,200. An octopus occurs when a 2-point conversion is scored by the same player who scored the touchdown.
Oh, that's cool. The octopus. I love that. The Bet Parks has that at all.
And here's one. Like any offensive lineman to score a touchdown. I can see people getting a little fancy.
Andy does it.
Yeah.
Andy, the Eagles won't do it, but Andy will.
Yeah.
What's that?
Any offensive line score plus 2,000. $5 give you 100.
Andy might do that.
Yeah.
Eagles won't because you don't need to. Not with the tush push.
No, true.
That'll be that. You got to check out the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. Got you covered for the entire big game and beyond.
You can wager on a player to correctly call the opening kickoff coin toss. Like if they guess heads and it's heads, if that happens, it's both minus 103 yesterday. Well, you can bet on that.
That's unbelievable. They have it all. All right. So check it out. All right. Plus all the other stuff, right? Like live dealer blackjack and roulette and craps and baccarat. And in fact, you're a new customer and you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. BetParks.com has all the details and all the stuff they do, profit boosts and all kinds of fun stuff. So check it all out. You got to be 21. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
K Red in the chat says after the Super Bowl, we might have to schedule some wellness checks for you.
Yes. Yes, I'm going to need help. I'm telling you right now, I will be depressed. All right? I will serious depression.
I'm taking vacation. The Eagles lose. I'm taking vacation. I don't want to be around him.
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
Go to the islands.
You won't want to be around. I'm with you. Tell us about a little Ace.
Oh,
Is the place.
Love our people over at Ace.
Hardware.
Yes, because Ace is there for the things that stress me out almost more than anything. Home repairs, because I am not good at any of that. I don't have tools. I don't have skills. I don't have knowledge. So Ace Hardware Home Services. You got a leaky pipe. Ace Hardware Home Services. They're around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the right people to do it. You got a heating issue. They got a person for that. You got a faucet that you're supposed to fix. You got something that's leaking. They got people to do that too, because they're not just the helpful hardware folks anymore. They are also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating to cooling, they got trusted pros to keep your house humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they're bringing the helpful home to your house, the helpful you'll love from the store, now to your front door. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com, and they'll help you get started on your next home project.
All right. This portion of the program is brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union.
TrueMark.
Time now for the Locker Room Report. Brought to us by Valley Forge Tourism. Make it Montgo. All right. Now joining us. Oh, he's ready. Here you go. He's going button down today.
No layers. Straight up button down. Little like business
From
business
the all
professional.
PHLY Bird Show, our man Z Berman, Zach Berman. Z Berman, VG and the whole chat obsessed with your wardrobe.
My bad. I'll bring it. If I'm on later this week, I'll bring it. If I'm on Super Bowl next week, I'll bring it. I'm not in the locker room today, unfortunately.
We appreciate your layers. You always look good, dapper. Appreciate it.
So I got dressed a little quicker today, but I will bring it next week for sure.
Up late writing, last minute throw the shirt on. He's probably in a pair of shorts.
No, I got to head to the studio after this. I would be otherwise, but I got to head to the studio after this.
Hey, big news today. Kellen Moore now the front runner for the Saints job. What are you hearing, buddy?
Yeah, it's similar to Gannon 2 years ago, right? In that he's the last one left at the dance, so to speak. And it's actually more similar to Shane Steichen, because the Gannon thing, you didn't know that was happening. Shane Steichen, it was like they were waiting for the Eagles season to finish with the Colts. You saw Mike McCarthy drop out of the Saints job yesterday, or out of the Saints job. You saw Cliff Kingsbury's not taking interviews. So it sounds like Kellen Moore, Mike Kafka, and Anthony Weaver are the last three candidates left, unless there's someone else who emerges here. Kellen Moore had an interview with the Saints, what was it, Monday night into Tuesday morning. right? The Saints flew up here, so it certainly looks like it's likely going to happen. And there is symmetry to 2 years ago. If you remember, Gannon plays, or the Eagles play the Super Bowl in Arizona. Gannon sticks around and is the coach of the Cardinals. Well, the Eagles play the Super Bowl in New Orleans. I bet Kellen Moore sticks around to be the coach of the Saints, and the Eagles will be left with their fourth offensive coordinator in 4 years in that situation.
I've never seen anything like it. The poaching that has taken place. Go back to Doug, right? And that Super Bowl 52, and it's just been one coordinator poached after another.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the byproduct of winning, right? And if you it's why I think the Eagles are fortunate to have someone like Vic Fangio, who is not necessarily looking for a head coaching job. There's continuity there. I do wonder the profile of coach that they look for the next OC. If they look for the up and comer, if they look for, I don't want to say the Fangio type, but if there's like if there's a former head coach who's not necessarily looking to work up his way up the food chain, is kind of happy to be there. You don't typically see that with offensive coordinators as much, but yeah, this is the story of Jalen's life going back to college. Jalen had 4 different coordinators in 4 years of college. He came to the Eagles, had 1 year with Doug, and that group. Doug gets fired, and then since he came to Philly, the only time he's had the same coordinator back-to-back years was Shane Steichen going 21-22.
So you brought this up to me, and we were talking about it. Frank Reich, would that be a guy that they would revisit?
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing the profile because look, Frank obviously has amazing relationship with Nick, right? And has he's very well regarded in the Eagles building. You do wonder if it's the offense they're looking for, if it's the style they're working for. Now, the good thing is that he has the relationship with Jeff Stoutland, which is critical if you're running the Eagles offense. And one thing I think the Eagles saw in 2022, really January, February 2023, but the 2022 season, was that you're in a tough spot when you're replacing a coordinator externally after the Super Bowl, because a lot of those seats have been filled by that point, right? You're missing out on the quote-unquote hot up-and-coming coordinators. So unless you go to the college level, or unless you go with a coach who is out of a job, then you're probably promoting internally. Now, if you want to look at internal options, Kevin Patullo has been the right-hand man for Nick Sirianni since he's been here.
Kevin, by the way. He's a sharp dude, the passing coordinator.
Yeah. And he's been significant this year in kind of meshing the Kellen Moore concepts with some of the concepts that the Eagles have had in the past. I know that the Eagles were, interested in promoting him 2 years ago, but obviously Brian Johnson was the next one up, if you will. Last year, after they fired Brian Johnson, they were always going to go externally, and so he would be the internal option I would pay attention to. The question is if they want someone who has more either play calling experience or kind of offensive coordinator gravitas, for lack of a better term, then going with. I'm curious to see if they want to avoid what happened in 2022 when there were more questions about who was in charge, what's the offense going to look like, that kind of thing. Or I'm sorry, 2023.
Yeah, I mean that's it's really fascinating. Well, the one college guy you can rule out is Chip Kelly.
Yeah, that's not happening. Yeah.
Jeffrey Lurie won't let him. I think when they play Penn State, he's too close to Novacare.
You know what, though? I think Chip might be in the NFL next year. I would watch out for the Houston Texans as a possible Chip destination.
Yeah, I know. It's, hey, it's one thing when you got all the toys at Ohio State, right? Yeah. Now let's go back. The NFL, as always, he hasn't figured that piece out of it yet. How do you think Jalen, how does this affect Jalen? I mean, we know about coordinators and quarterbacks, and Jalen's been through this song and dance.
Yeah.
How do you think it affects him?
He doesn't like it. I know that. Yeah. It's something I've spoken to him about before. when the idea of Kellen Moore becoming a coordinator, or I'm sorry, a head coach has come up, he he um, he kind of didn't want to go there. He didn't want to go in terms of what the ramifications would be for him. I remember back in 2020, after 2023, someone, I don't want to say close to Jalen, but someone who knows Jalen well said, one thing about Jalen Hurts is he makes coaches a lot of money, right? Like, if you work with Jalen Hurts, you typically go on and get a promotion somewhere else, unless in the case of Brian Johnson, you got dismissed there. But point being that, yeah, I think Jalen appreciates continuity and hasn't had that. I know going from 21 to 22, he saw the benefit of that. That's why who they would hire would be important. Does Sirianni try to keep the continuity with Patullo, or do they go with someone who either brings in a different approach or has a background with Jalen? But to answer the question succinctly, I don't think it's something that would leave Jalen particularly enthused.
Listen, you're an insider. You're there. One of the things that's important and vital is there needs to be a buffer. The OC needs to be the buffer between Jalen and Nick. I mean, as much as Nick was effusive and, how about my quarterback? And, afterwards, Jalen still hit him with, well, yeah, he took me out of my straitjacket. Right? So that OC needs to be a buffer, Senator, a buffer.
You're right. And I guess the way I would put it too is you want an OC who will accentuate Jalen, but not be there to placate Jalen, right? Like the goal isn't to make Jalen the de facto OC. The goal isn't to make Sirianni the de facto OC. The Eagles are at their best when they have an independent play caller, if you will, right? Someone who is someone who's not operating for the quarterback or for the coach, but is the OC and is emboldened. And so I agree with you there. I think there's a lot of, when you have success has a lot of fathers in the league, and especially when you replace someone, everyone kind of wants to have their hands on it. So it's going to be a fascinating subplot. And this is the crazy thing. So the Super Bowl obviously is next Sunday. The Combine is 2 weeks later, right? The way the NFL calendar is now, I mentioned it a moment ago, you are behind the 8 ball putting a staff together after the Super Bowl. It really hinders you. And that's why if you want to relitigate the Gannon thing, I think the thing that really annoyed the organization is that they thought they had their succession plan in place with going after Fangio. If Gannon got that Texans job, when Gannon didn't get the Texans job, they thought he wasn't going anywhere. They didn't have that succession plan in place. So I do think if they go into this week knowing Kellen Moore's getting that job, they will have a good sense of what they would do going into the post-Super Bowl weeks.
Hey, Zach, Anthony and I were talking, like, from the outside looking in, Kellen Moore doesn't seem to really exude, like, head coaching material as what you're typical, like, normally see. You get to be closer to him. Do you see him do you see him being a head coach? Does he have that vibe to you?
Yeah, it's interesting because one thing I heard out of Dallas was like the command of the room component, and I don't want to overstate like the way someone is in a press conference compared to how they are, behind the scenes, working with the team, talking with players. Kellen is not an overwhelmingly charismatic personality. I'll say that, and I think that's behind the scenes and publicly. But the thing about Kellen Moore is that, look, he's a former player who he played in NFL locker room. He spent the last decade of his life in NFL locker rooms. He was teammates with Calvin Johnson. He was teammates with Des Bryant. He's played and worked under successful coaches. So he's the son of a coach. So I think Kellen Moore is like a football coach through and through. Like he's, the backup quarterback, offensive mastermind profile. That's what a lot of people gravitate toward. But in terms of personality, no, you're not getting. I'll tell you this: his sideline demeanor would not be like Nick Sirianni's sideline demeanor. it will be entirely different. But what you're hiring is, the offensive mind, someone who has been a play. Like the thing people forget about Kellen Moore is this. I mean, this guy was a Heisman Trophy finalist, right? He was one of the great college quarterbacks of the past 2 decades at Boise State. So I think one thing I have heard is
under him is when the blue field came into vogue.
So the playing experience, and I heard this when they hired him. When I talk to people, the playing experience can't be dismissed when you talk to players because there is a degree of respect. When you spend 6 years playing in the NFL, that comes with respect when you go into the NFL locker rooms.
Do you think the league will change its calendar and address the coaching situation? Like at some point, they're going to go to the 18th game. I think they need to revisit the whole thing. It's a distraction. You could do the day after the Super Bowl and have that week be the coaches. You push back combine. You push back draft. Right? You're going to change the calendar as it is. Why? At some point, you might as well figure it all out.
It's a great point. It's a great point because the Super Bowl is eventually going to be President's Day weekend, right? It's eventually going to be a week later, and my guess is sooner rather than later that's going to happen. The NFL has tried to push back the coaching calendar. Things like limiting, virtual interviews compared to in-person interviews. The problem with it is that out of work coaches like Mike Vrabel this year, those guys have an advantage. College coaches, they're working on a different timeline. So you can put this timetable in place for when guys can interview, how they can interview. But first off, there's a number of searches where they start with the result in mind. It's not like an open playing field.
Yeah.
And so they could push back the calendar, but I don't know a good solution because what do you do if you're hiring an out-of-work coach? What if you do if you're hiring a college coach? And there are too many complications for it. There was a period of time when it was like the teams that won the Super Bowl, those coaches were kind of, were struggling to get jobs because the hiring schedule was so much earlier.
Like, it's unbelievable that dude still can't get a job, right? Like, New Orleans is going to go Kellen Moore, partly because Spags was in New Orleans and during all that mess that Peyton had. But, the guy, I still can't believe he can't get a job.
It makes no sense.
It really does. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he certainly earned it.
Kansas City.
Yeah, me too.
He certainly earned it. That's for sure. I always thought that the Giants should have hired him to replace Coughlin.
Yeah. Or the Jets. Back then.
But I'm saying back when they hired McAdoo, I thought Spags would have made sense then. But I understand the sense. I just don't know what the right solution is because it's not just one profile of coach you're talking about.
Yeah. No, you're right. All right, let's get back to health. How we looked, the whole thing about banged up and backs, right, and all kinds of. How's everybody's health? Let's start there. Knees.
Yes.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I'm expecting the Eagles to be relatively healthy going into the Super Bowl. I'm expecting Dickerson and Juergens to be in a much better spot. I'm expecting Jalen Hurts obviously to be in a much better spot, although he looked good last week. I also think I think Brandon Graham's gonna be back for the Super Bowl. I know Brandon's saying this is a day-to-day thing or taking it a day at a time. There's no one who's told me no regarding Brandon Graham, and I think that I usually the way that and you know how this works if they'll tell you to quiet down a story if there's nothing there. They'll be like, hey, don't run with that one, right? You're not hearing anything like that regarding Brandon Graham, and so I think there's a chance they see Brandon Graham, but I'm expecting Juergens, I'm expecting Dickerson to be in a better spot. AJ will be in a better spot. I think the only player, I got to see about Slay. Slay left that game early. I don't know Slay's status right now, but and then Kenny Gainwell's recovering from the concussion. But the bye week helps there. And, the Eagles haven't been on the field yet. They're off today. I think their first practice is going to be tomorrow. My guess is they'll go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they'll kind of treat that like like a typical Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so it's giving these guys times to be off their feet a bit. I'm expecting a healthier roster going into the Super Bowl.
And then they leave Sunday?
Yeah, I believe they leave Sunday. They have the option of going Sunday or Monday, from what I understand. But I in the past they've gone on Sundays.
Now, you know what's funny? Back to Bourbon Street, right?
Yeah.
Back in the prehistoric days, Dick Vermeil did not allow his team to go anywhere near the festivities. How do the Eagles handle that? I mean, of course, it's a business trip, and you're not going to be out. And
Yeah.
It's not like back then when the Raiders were out partying. So that's not what I'm talking about. But how do they handle, other places they were easily sequestered?
Yes. You hit on. I was just about to say that. You took it out of my head, Anthony. You've covered a lot of Super Bowls. You know what this is like. Every city's different, right? From this is my 8th Super Bowl covering, but this is my first one in New Orleans. And my understanding is that in New Orleans, everyone thinks it's their favorite Super Bowl destination, but for the teams, the teams are right there in the thick of it, right? For instance, when the Eagles were in Arizona a few years ago, they stayed 30 minutes away from everything was so spread out. When the Eagles played the Super Bowl in Minnesota, they were at the Mall of America, right? There's not much trouble you're getting into in a shopping mall. New Orleans, my understanding on the team hotels is like they're right down there, right in the heart of New Orleans. And so, it's cool from an environment perspective, but I don't know how that is going to work. It's a good question. It's something that I will talk to players and behind the scenes people about to see what rules are in place. The other thing too is they're there for 9 days, right? So they're not going to just sit there in their hotel room the whole time. They'll go out to eat. Families in town. I'm curious to see what the rules are. And
it's going to be packed. That's the problem too. Like it's going to be wall to wall people. So that's a big deal in itself. I remember Jacksonville. It was easy. They were at the golf. They were at the golf.
The Sawgrass.
Yeah,
it's the Sawgrass. Yep.
And they were easily sequestered, right? Like that's going to be an interesting kind of little thing for both those teams.
Yeah, and I'm going through, some of the different Super Bowls that I've been at, and that's absolutely been the case. Like even last year in Vegas, the team stayed. The teams didn't stay on the Strip. They stayed like 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
This is it's a storyline that I haven't thought as much about, but now that we talk about it, it's one I'll explore more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey Zach, just people in the chat, fan of yours, Big Farts Jones wants to know: does the NFL decide where they stay, or does the team decide where they stay?
Big Farts, I appreciate the support, man. The NFL does. There's a designated NFC hotel. There's a designated AFC hotel. Now, I do know in the past, coaches have moved their team like the night before the game or the weekend before the game to undisclosed locations. That has happened in the past. But it's hard to get a hotel room Super Bowl week. It's hard to get hotel Super Bowl week. The NFL has. The NFC has a designated NFC hotel and a designated AFC hotel. Same thing with like practice facilities. So very little is left up to the team during the Super Bowl week.
Yeah. Just quickly, tell everyone what you're working on, and because you got a lot of good stuff coming, man.
Yeah, I have some good stories coming up on allphly.com over the next week and a half. In addition to our shows, we're going to do 2 shows a day, at least down in New Orleans. We're going to have our typical 2:00 spot, but then we'll also have primetime shows every night because some of the times, like on Tuesday during the 2:00 show, I'm at Eagles interviews and there's stuff going on all the time. So we'll be flooding the zone there. But in terms of writing, you'll see stuff on Jeffrey Lurie, on Howie Roseman, on Nick Sirianni, on Jalen Hurts, on C.J. Gardner-Johnson, on Lane Johnson, Jordan. Like I can go down the list. I have I keep a big file on my computer of all my notes throughout the year. And then when they get to this point, you just have a year's worth of material, and you kind of tailor it for the game. So I have some good angles coming up, and I'll be in the locker room the next 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, before getting these guys. These players are so sick of me and us by the end, because I get them for an hour a day down in New Orleans on, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I promise the viewers and the listeners that time won't be wasted. We will have comprehensive, exclusive coverage of the Eagles. I
got to tell you, you are an extraordinary beat writer.
Oh, thank you.
You really are. I was not good. You are. No,
it's worked out well. I'll take what you got. Yeah.
I was not a good beat writer. I was not organized like that. I like to write, 5,000 word stories, and I would just disappear. And Zach could do that, but he could also be comprehensive in his coverage as a disciplined writer. I was not disciplined. You are extraordinary at it.
I appreciate that, but I'll pay you a compliment here too, because I remember when I started in this, and they said that I asked so many questions, like every veteran beat writer I respected, and I remember one guy telling me the most important thing is you got to be able to hang out. You got to be able to just be able to talk to these guys, have the relationship over the course of the year. More important than anything else is that part of it, and that's what you've always done well. I've always read your work, and that's so important too. And I hope that's going to come across in the stories. It's like little details that you only get being around these guys every day.
Yeah, you're killing it, man. Just absolutely. People, again, we talk about the diehards, and the reason why I bring this up is the work that you do, Zach, that Fran's doing. I mean, it's great stuff, man. So thank you, and
appreciate it.
You really deserve it, man. You deserve all the accolades. Great stuff, brother.
Thank you. Talk to you guys soon.
See you, buddy. There he is, Berman, and he does such a great job.
He's a machine with that stuff.
He is. You got to be organized and comprehensive. And I would, quite frankly, I used to get bored by one team. I
could see that.
I needed to go to do different sports and different stories and travel and change scenery. I get that. I couldn't write about the same thing every day, even though there are different players, and it's a huge thing. And you got to be disciplined with it, and he's great at it, man.
Yeah, he is.
He is. All right, time now for the Rite Aid back in the day moment.
Yeah, baby.
Back. What's my man got?
We're going back.
Scramble.
We're going back. We're going back.
Phrase on top, baby.
Back in the day with Rite Aid.
We doing, Joey?
Yeah.
Joey's cold. He's sitting there going, "Freak." It is kind of cold in Joey.
All right. It is cold in here.
All right.
Here we are. We're going to go back to 1980 NFC Championship game where these two lovely Eagles fans were hanging out with no clothes on, basically, and negative 17-degree wind chill. That is Philadelphia right there.
Oh, we got no volume. You got Pat Summerall's making a comment. You got no volume. Minus 17 wind chill.
Oh, my God.
Love it.
We are the best. We really are. We're the greatest fan base ever, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't get old. Everybody, we are that's what we do. We're incredible. Great job, Phrase.
Hoo-hoo.
Great job, Joey Marone. All right. That's going to do for us, everybody, for today.
Hump day. What are you doing for hump day?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
I'm going to be antsy. I'm antsy.
Go over to Sassafras, maybe. Get a little...
Sassafras. We'll do a Sassafras. Maybe we'll...
I might walk down to Sassafras on 3rd Street or 2nd Street.
Since we're not going to New Orleans, maybe we'll go to Sassafras. Do the show.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody, have a great day. We love you. And we'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.